first lectures that we give, even though it's not like the topic lecture, because it really should guide how you do the rest of debate camp. So I have created a Prezi that you can follow along with up here. I will upload this Prezi to the Wiki Spaces. I will upload my notes to the Wiki Spaces, so you have access to all these materials. But you should take notes, like follow along. The only way that you are going to ever remember something is not if you just like type it, but also if you like write it down, commit it to memory. So everyone should be taking notes during this presentation. So I do have a Prezi. It's cooler than a PowerPoint, does more things, and I've tried to include a lot of pictures so it's not boring and you have something to look at. Okay? So my lecture is called How to Succeed at Debate Camp. And so these are going to be helpful hints and tricks for doing well while you're here, not just like performance-wise, but also how to improve and use this time the most effectively. So, yeah. By the way, I'm Abby Schirmer. I would know I was introduced at the main thing, but maybe you didn't know that. Abby Schirmer. I am from Stratford Academy. That's where I teach. I'm the director of debate there. That's in Macon, Georgia. I've coached for the last 6 years there. This next year will be my 7th. I went to college at Michigan State University. That's it. That's all I got. I have a cat. It's pretty cute. His name is Oscar. He's orange. Okay, great. Those are all my facts. Fun facts. So, the first section here is what is debate camp for? So, what do you do at debate camp? These aren't just like, you know, you get up, you eat, you go to lab, that kind of stuff. But I'm using this section to talk to you about what it is you are supposed to use your time at debate camp for. So, what is debate camp for? The first thing is to become an expert, okay? And there are 3 sort of small categories within this. You want to become an expert. That's the first big bullet point there. You want to become an expert in topic knowledge, okay? So I have some lovely pictures of things that are found in the ocean here. You want to get really in-depth, deep knowledge about the ocean. Use this time to become an expert at all things ocean exploration and development related. Read a lot of things about the ocean, learn a lot about the topic, learn the different types of affirmatives that are going to be run on this topic, understand the main negative arguments to exploring and developing the ocean, become a topic expert. All of these are lovely pictures that correspond to the ocean. Like for instance, a whale, okay? Or wind energy on the ocean. I found a picture of that. That's what that looks like. Coral. And then the picture up in the top left corner is a kid who debated for me named He-Man with a manatee at the Dallas Aquarium. So I thought that was particularly topic appropriate. Okay? Be very deep on your ocean information. So when you go back, you are already going to have a head start on all those other people who did not go to camp, and you'll know way more about the ocean than those students, maybe even on your team, or opponents that you debate during the year. What's the second thing camp is for? Know your evidence. Now, these pictures are a blast from the past. What are these pictures of? Tubs. Has anybody ever in here used a tub? Okay, so some people still have maybe debated on paper. When I was in college, in high school, this is how you transported your evidence. There were carts, there was big stacks of tubs. They were all kind of like nastily taped together because you had to take them through the airport. And this is how we transported our evidence. When I debated in college, we had 5 tubs of paper that like weighed 50 pounds apiece, and it was a pain in the butt to transport from place to place. Now you just have your computer. How lovely. The point of this is to know your own evidence that you're given at camp inside and out. So you should go through the materials that have already been presented and like given and prepared for you and know what the app says. Understand each one of the advantages. Know your solvency advocates. Know your particular negative positions. Kind of get really involved and in-depth in all of these things. So when you go back home, you have a very strong knowledge of what it is you're participating with. Like you will already have a jump on everybody else who did not attend camp or who did not attend this camp on things like wind energy in the ocean or things like the China dissad. And you'll be way more prepared than anyone else is for those debates if you get really deep on your particular evidence set. And so every time a new file comes out, or every time you have some downtime, or a break, or you're bored, you should be learning your evidence, highlighting your evidence, reading it, reading the underlined parts, because you'll get into a debate and you'll know way more about it than your opponent will, and be able to beat them on it, speak on it really well, and impress judges that will ultimately lead to a victory. So know your evidence. Use this time to get really deep in your own evidence. You can also get deep on a particular argument. These pictures represent what I feel is the wide range of argument choices that you could get deep on. You could either get deep on politics, which is why the donkey and the elephant are hanging out up there. What does the donkey and the elephant stand for? Yeah, Republicans and Democrats. We're not stupid. Yeah, that's what it is. And so you could get deep on politics. You could choose to get deep on like the China dissad, for instance, or you could choose to get deep on like the critique, if that's your business. That's why I put a weird looking hippie up there. That is what I feel like all critique debaters look like. Okay? Pick an argument that you like and get deep in that particular argument. Do everything you can to be the best debater you can be on the China dissad, or on the critique, or on politics. It doesn't matter what argument it is you choose. Just pick one and get really good at that. Because when you come home from camp and have a good, solid generic, you can update it. You can modify it to fit any app, like, on the topic. And you will be the best at that particular argument and win a ton of debates. And so getting deep on an argument done at camp saves you a bunch of prep time when you head back to school. So pick an argument, get very deep on it. That argument choice is up to you. If you don't know anything about the K and you want to be the K person, then do that. Suit yourself. But if you want to get really deep on a dissad or politics or a counterplan, all of these things will benefit you in the long run. And use your camp time to do that. Okay? So what else is debate camp for? Become an expert. The second section is learn how to communicate. Okay? Learn how to communicate. This one seems pretty simple. We're all here to debate, so we are functionally communicating. But some of you have a harder time communicating than others. Some of you know what you want to say in your head, but can't really get it out, or can't really explain your evidence or your arguments back to a judge, or back to your opponent, or back to even your partner. And so you need to use camp time to learn how to communicate. The first tip or trick for this section is you want to read or speak daily. Normally in lab you do speaking drills or you do practice speeches, but on your own time. You should also be reading your evidence, like literally just reading it like you would a book sitting at your desk in your room or in lab or whatever. But you should also be practicing speaking aloud. Okay? A lot of you have some experience with debate, but some of you don't have any at all. And one of the key things that you should learn as a debater is how to speak well, speak clearly. You don't have to be a super speed demon and go really fast. You should learn how to communicate your evidence as effectively and as clearly as possible to your opponent, to your judge, etc. So you should practice reading aloud every single day. Okay? If this is speed drills, that's great. If this is just like, I need to be able to speak audibly, that's good too. Okay? So read aloud every day and do some sort of like speaking drill, like speed drills, or re-give a speech you had given prior, or maybe you want to speak for 10 to 15 minutes just aloud, trying to explain an argument back. All of these at camp preparations will translate into success when you head back home. You could come to camp not being very fast, but do speed drills every single day and be able to read 5 to 10 word cards in every single speech. And that would be considered something that is, a good goal to attain. So read and speak daily. You also want to learn how to talk to others. This is a picture of a team that I coached 2 years ago, Andrew Jones and He-Man Sinji, and these two were the best communicators with each other that I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never coached another team who could talk to each other better than those two could, okay? These two they didn't have like a secret language, but they could definitely know what each other was thinking, and they could work really well together, and they knew where their weaknesses were and where their strengths were. Now, I'm not saying you got to get that close to your camp partner, because some of you are only here for 2 weeks. I think all of you are only maybe here for 2 weeks. But you do want to try to learn how to talk to others. If you can't communicate with your partner at camp, it's going to be hard for you to communicate with your partner at home. So learning how to create a relationship, a working relationship with the person that you're going to be working at camp with is monumental, okay? Not just your camp partner, but maybe other people in your lab. If you are super shy, it's going to be hard to create a relationship that you need to function as a debate team. So talk to people, go up and introduce yourself, make new friends, and start to come out of that shell a little bit and be a little bit more, communicative. Talk to each other. The best debaters have the best communication with themselves as well as with, the judge and other people. So learn how to communicate. The last in this is learn how to communicate your arguments. A lot of people that I see at camps over the course of the 10 plus years that I've taught at camp maybe understand the arguments that they are making, but do not know how to communicate those effectively to the judge or to their partner or to their opponent. And so sometimes it feels like, in your head, I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't get it out. One of the major skills of debate is learning how to take those thoughts and put them into actionable words that you can say aloud, something that you can coherently make an argument with. And that's a valuable skill in debate. If you learn how to take an argument that you understand and present it in a coherent manner to an audience, to a judge, to your opponent, or even to your partner. And if you learn how to speak and convey your message, then half the battle is done with debate. If you can be an effective communicator, if you can clearly explain an argument to the judge, you will win a good chunk of your debates. Because a lot of people fail at this skill. Okay, so learn how to communicate to the judge, learn how to communicate with your partner, and don't be so shy. Come out of your shell a little bit. And use camp as a time to do this. Okay? What else is debate camp for?
Practice your skills.
Okay, that was a rhetorical question, but practice your skills. Now this is probably the most duh of all of the, sections of the PowerPoint here, but you want to use this time to practice your skills. The first in this section is take risks and try new things. If you are just coming off your novice year of debate or your first year of debate and you have never before run a counterplan or run a critique argument, or you have no idea how to run the China disad or the politics disad, take a risk and try something new. Do not stay in your comfort zone. Okay? Your comfort zone is the argument you read every single round as in the negative last year, or it's the act that you spent all this time working on and knowing, but you didn't try something new or pick a new act. Use camp as a time to pick new arguments, try new argument styles. Maybe you're a 2N and you want to try being a 2A. Use this time to take risks, because if it fails miserably, it's just camp. It's not a tournament, it's not part of the year, and you haven't wasted any of your time. So try new things and take new risks. Let's say you want to get really deep on the critique because not a lot of people on your team know about it, or maybe not a lot of people in your area are very good at the critique, or your coach doesn't know much about it. Take this opportunity and learn from your coaches and lab leaders' expertise. Try a new argument, see if you like it, and maybe you can incorporate that into your next year's repertoire for debate. Take risks and try new things. Okay? You also want to hone your craft. What does it mean to hone your craft? Now, this is not a rhetorical question, so you may answer this. What does it mean to hone your craft?
Specialize.
Okay, specialize. Yeah. Get really good at one particular thing. Who else has another answer? Yes.
Something that you're really good at doing, just keep practicing that so you can get better.
Sure. Yeah. So if you know know that you are an exceptional politics debater, you want to get better at that particular thing. Or you know that you're a really good speaker, but you want to tweak it to kind of be a little bit more, about policy debate. So I'm going to call and pick on Arjun for a second. This kid is actually not named Arjun. He just looks like this person I know named Arjun. Arjun is in my lab, and Arjun goes to Bellarmine, and Arjun gave a speech yesterday on a disad, and he is obviously very good, and he, in the past, has done a lot of, speaking publicly, and it sounds really pretty, and it's really flowery, but it's not at all debating, okay? And so he stands up, and he's, giving us historical examples, and he's telling us about the French Revolution, and I'm like, this is great, but this is not at all what we needed. You are a good speaker, Arjun, okay? And you sounded great. But you need to take that and maybe focus it more on what policy debate more sounds like or more is. So I'm not using this to embarrass Arjun. I am just using this to say you may be quite good at something. You want to take that and focus it more on becoming the best at that particular thing. So, you need to work on maybe your communication with your partner. Work on that at camp. Maybe you are a good speaker, but you're not a fast reader. Work on those things at camp. And take the skills that you are good at and kind of mold and shape them to be what you need them to be at camp. All right? Does that make sense? Hone your craft. Next one, judge debates. We're going to have a whole lecture about judging debates, but one of the things that I feel is the most helpful for students to do is judge debates or judge speeches and figure out, what did this person do wrong? What did this person do right? And what can I improve on based on seeing what I've seen? I can tell you that when I was in high school and when I was in college, some of the times that it clicked the most for me was having taught at camp or having judged debates. When you sit in the back of the room and you are the judge, you can kind of see things in a full picture, okay? And you can see the end game. You know what the 2AR has to do to win the debate. You know what the 2NR needed to do to win the debate. And you know what mistakes you're seeing and what that person could have done better. When you're in the debate, it kind of gets muddled. Kind of becomes something like, I can't really see the end game. One of the hardest parts for me was knowing exactly what to extend and what to go for and what not to go for in the 2AR. So being able to sit back and judge allows you to be able to see it when you're actually there and debating. It's also important for you to give feedback and comments, right? So when you are sitting in the room judging, you might want to take a couple of notes on what that person could do better. And even if you don't audibly say this, you might want to take those notes and be like, okay, that's what I can do better. Let me give you a concrete way that you can deploy this. So not all of you are going to judge a debate at camp. That's probably not going to happen. You might watch the demo debate and judge that debate, but you probably all will not judge a debate at camp. What you will see a lot of are practice speeches. And you can use the practice speeches in the same way that you would to judge a debate. Watch the practice speech happen. Think in your head or write down on your flow what it is that this person could do better. Okay? What would I do if I was that person? Oh, what are the comments that that person needs to hear in order to make that person better? And even if you don't say those things aloud, you at least have thought about it and can incorporate those into your speech. I'm going to pick on my lab again. Yesterday we gave some practice speeches on a disad, and one person would go and I would give that person comments, and then the next person would go and totally not incorporate the comments I had just given. And I love my lab, and you guys are great, and sure, it's only day one, we're going to get this, I promise. Take the comments that someone else has given and incorporate them into your own speech or repertoire. So judge debates, figure out, where the end game is, figure out what that person could do better or worse, and incorporate that into what you need to do. So you understand the point of judging. The point of judging is obviously to judge the debate, but also the benefit for you is that it helps you figure out what's going on, how to assess the situation, and it ultimately makes you a better debater in the long run. So judge debates, or watch speeches, or give mental notes and mental comments to your lab. Okay, successful debaters. This child is a successful debater, I promise. This is Andrew Jones. He was the debater at Stratford. I feel like I've already mentioned that, yes, okay. He was probably one of the most successful kids that I've ever coached in my entire life, and he would probably kill me if he knew that I was showing this picture. This is Andrew Jones when he was a freshman, and he was a precocious young child as a freshman and would ask me a million questions about everything. He wanted to know why a particular argument was like that, why we read arguments like that, what that piece of evidence said, how to cut better evidence. He would ask me questions upon questions of what he could do better to become a better debater. So on his first tournament, we are going to Wake Forest, and we're stopping at a Cracker Barrel, obviously. He puts this on. I didn't make him do this. And he came and found me, and he was like, look how awesome I look. And I was like, wow, you were really trying super hard to impress me. So that's why that picture is there. But Andrew, over the course of his debate career, developed these set of goals for being a highly successful debater. Sorry, what? Do you have a question? No? Okay. I thought someone said something. Great. Here are the goals of highly successful debaters, or things that debaters do at camp that make them highly successful. Okay? 6 things that you should do. First, they set goals. They set goals. These goals, you should tell your instructor, your coach, your partner, somebody that you can share these goals with that will make you accountable, right? You could have a goal in your head of doing speaking drills every single day, but then don't tell anybody so no one knows that you fail if you don't do it every day. But if you tell somebody, somebody can keep you accountable. It has to be a goal that you can tell somebody that is actionable, okay? The second thing about setting a goal is the goal must be realistic. So you can't come to camp being, your first year at a novice debate or your first year at a middle school debate and be like, I'm going to win the TOC next year. That's probably not going to happen. Sorry. Hope that wasn't your goal. You need more time and effort and energy to be able to do that. So have goals that are realistic and are actionable, things that you can do. So a better goal for me to suggest would be setting, how many cards you could read clearly in a set amount of time, or getting good enough that you can create your own overviews and extended dissad in a limited amount of prep time, or maybe knowing and highlighting all of your camp materials in a couple of days. So having goals that you want to set and work on is paramount. It's super important that you can take these goals and make them something that you can act upon, okay? They have to be able to be measured. I should be able to say, okay, where are we on these goals? I can check your progress on them, They have to be written down, and they should be very specific. So your goal coming to camp shouldn't be, I want to get better at debate. Yes, that's why we're here, okay? There should be something very specific, something very actionable, something that you can tell somebody, and something that we can measure. So set goals. Highly successful debaters set goals, okay? Second, they listen. Okay, they listen. Like the example I gave before, you want to take the comments that other people give and put them into your own repertoire. When I tell somebody, follow the script I have written on the board, I want you to follow the script that I have written on the board. If I tell somebody a better turns the case argument, you should incorporate that turns the case argument. In lecture, you should take notes. You shouldn't be playing games. You shouldn't be sleeping. Right? If you're bored, maybe switch over and read some evidence from your packet. You should listen. You should listen to the comments your judges give you. You should listen to the comments other lab children give you. You should listen to comments that your instructor gives you. You can choose to incorporate these if you'd like to, but you should listen and kind of understand and be open to, these comments. Third, they take useful notes. Useful is the key word here. Okay? Useful notes. Writing down everything I say is not going to help you. Writing down the things that are important, writing down the things that I stress a lot, writing down, the important parts of lectures and not, the unimportant parts. I heard Nick Miller told a story about a shark who ate another shark yesterday. That seems to be the unimportant part of the notes, even though that is a really important event, okay? That seems to be unimportant compared to the rest of the topic lecture. Writing everything down and looking back at it, you're going to be like, what did all of this mean? Writing the important things down, okay, notes that you can use, is really important. The second part of this is using notes that you could then take and put into blocks. So if I give you comments about how to better, organize a counterplan overview, and I tell you, hey, you should add, these 3 solvency arguments. You should take notes on that, then take those notes and make a block. Take those notes that I gave you about your politics speech and incorporate it into a block that you can then turn around and use in the next debate. Highly successful debaters take notes and use those notes to make blocks. Yes?
What are blocks?
So when you are in a debate, whether you are affirmative or negative, you sometimes have like a pre-written set of materials that you read. Sometimes in the 2AC, you have a pre-written answer to a disad or a counterplan or whatever. Those are considered to be blocks.
Okay.
So like in the 2NC and the 1NR, wherever, you could have a pre-written set of answers to an argument the other team makes. That's block. Okay. Number 4, they take it seriously. They take it seriously.
They don't play games during the lecture.
Yeah, Ed is like all on you guys right now. Okay? They take it seriously. You are here. You have paid money to attend camp. You need to take this seriously. If you are at all serious about being a top debater, you have to take camp seriously. You have a limited amount of time to get better. You have instruction at your fingertips. You have tons of people you can ask for advice, tons of peers that you can look to for, help, and you need to take camp seriously. I'm going to go through a list of things unsuccessful debaters do, and all of these things, those people would not be taking camp very seriously. But you need to take camp seriously. Know where you really need to improve. Okay? You will leave camp winning 10 times more debate if you put 10 times more debates if you put in the hard work now. Okay? If you take these 2 weeks and treat them as kind of like the end-all be-all, then you're going to really, really get better, and you will be better next year. Okay? Number 5, they cope with setbacks. They cope with setbacks. So, what happens when you lose a debate? Yeah, that kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world. If you are supposed to be some of the best kids at camp and you lose to some of the younger kids, that doesn't, mean you're a bad debater. The younger kids losing to older kids, it doesn't mean you're a bad debater and you should quit debate. Take your setbacks in stride. Okay? Understand that setbacks happen and know that these are learning opportunities. It doesn't matter if you win the camp tournament. It doesn't matter if you beat all of the little kids at camp. It doesn't matter if you beat all the older kids at camp. It's all about the learning process. So take what your judge says. Take what happens if you, bomb a really hard disad speech and start tomorrow fresh. Do not get bogged down in the setbacks. Okay? Okay, number 6 is develop good habits. So do things now that you're going to want to be sustainable come the fall. So do things like speaking drills, things like how to take good notes, things like, putting together evidence, learning how to research. Develop habits now that you want to take back home with you so that you can, become a very successful debater at home. Not everybody has the opportunity to go to camp. Not everybody on your team is going to have gone to camp. And so you have a special time and special opportunity to develop really good habits that you can take back and share with people at your school. Questions about these habits? Okay. Sorry, what? Oh. Okay. Unsuccessful debaters do the following things. And I'm pretty sure Ed has already outed you on some of these. Okay? Unsuccessful debaters do not flow. Flowing is important. It's paramount. It's like the most important thing we're going to talk about at camp. You have to flow. Even if you're not told to flow. If you're listening to a practice speech, you should be flowing. Okay? Rule number 1 in our lab, me and Viva's lab, is flow. Okay? The second rule in our lab is you should use your flow. Everybody needs to flow. Unsuccessful debaters do not flow. Unsuccessful debaters resist change. These are the type of kids who get up there, they give a speech, you give comments, and the person's like, oh, that's not how I normally do it. That's not what some other person told me to do. That's not how I've always done it. Those people who don't want to change and get better and are stuck in their ways become unsuccessful debaters because they are unwilling to adapt to everything else that's going on around them. Unsuccessful debaters resist change. Unsuccessful debaters fall asleep in lab. Now let's look and see what this child is doing. Not only is this child asleep in lab, he is asleep while playing Tetris in lab. So not only was lab so boring, he decided to play Tetris. Lab was so boring that he fell asleep while playing Tetris in lab. That is Hebe of Sanjeev, everybody. That's like the best picture I have of him. Falling asleep in lab. Don't fall asleep in lab. Do something to keep yourself awake. If lab is extremely boring, there's a list of things you can do to keep yourself awake, like read evidence, like take a break and walk around if you're feeling like you're going to fall asleep, like, quick, take a 5-minute break and like surf Facebook, but come right back to it. Do not do things like fall asleep or daydream or sit there and play games. You're missing the most vital, important part of instruction time. Okay? Do not burn out. This is normally for people who spend a little bit more time at camp, but one of the problems you might find is if you decide to go super hard at camp and you're like, speaking every single day, 10 hours a day, not sleeping, cutting a million cards, you could very quickly burn out. So you want to balance yourself, right? Like, make sure you go out and like play some Frisbee, and make sure that you're not, skipping meals to prep speeches, Arjun, okay? So eat and do the things that you need to do to like be a functioning human being, or else come week 2, you are going to burn out, and you are going to hate this, and you will eventually, kind of resent debate. So unsuccessful debaters burn out. Unsuccessful debaters get overwhelmed. These are the people that take on too much, or don't ask for help, or act like they know what they're doing and have no idea. Ask for help. Ask your instructors. They know and are 100% willing to help you. Unsuccessful debaters settle. I think there's 2 T's in settle. Did I spell that wrong?
No, you're good.
I'm really bad at spelling. Unsuccessful debaters settle. If you give a speech and your feedback is, that was like okay, redo it. Try again. Okay? Don't settle for second best. Try to become the best that you can at whatever it is you are doing. And don't settle for good enough. Okay? Unsuccessful debaters forget to have fun. That's the last one. So you should definitely come to camp to have fun. Make friends, play Frisbee. Do the things that you are allowed to do that are still fun. This is a picture of children having fun. That's Vivith, by the way, up in the corner for kids in my lab. Vivith is in the picture. That's him at camp. He had fun. Okay? So don't forget to have fun. So those are my tips and tricks for how to succeed at camp. Things that you should do, things that you definitely should not do, and everyone should remember that the number 1 rule here at the ENDI is that you must love. Okay? Great. Can you stop it?